All right, Nate. Penn State off a home win over SMU plays Mountain West champ Boise State in the Fiesta Bowl on New Year's Eve. Did anything about the Nittany Lions win in the first round of the playoff change your mind about the team?
Yeah, so it was a 28-point win, very impressive on the scoreboard, but I thought it was more bad SMU rather than good Penn State. You look
Yeah.
back, first drive of the game, SMU's driving. They have a 4th and 1 inside the red zone, and Kevin Jennings, the quarterback from SMU, has a wide open player, misses
Mm,
him, and then he throws the two pick sixes later in the game, and Penn State, without scoring an offensive touchdown, are up 14 nothing. And at that point, when you can have the Penn State pass rush kind of tee off, knowing there's going to be a lot of obvious passing situations, then it was always going to be trouble for SMU, especially in the cold weather. So I do think Penn State probably would have won that game regardless, but
yeah.
I'm not going to put too much stock into that win. I know before the playoff, we had a video on here talking about how Penn State's playoff path set up really nicely. And that's
Yep.
because you were getting SMU at home. That's because you were getting a game in the Fiesta Bowl on a neutral site against Boise State and not having to face a tougher team. So I
Mm,
really nothing has changed my mind about Penn State. I expected them to play well against SMU. They did. So there's not going to really, change my mind in terms of I'm upgrading them a lot more and like dying to bet on them in this game against Boise State.
all right. Penn State is an 11.5 point favorite with a total of 52. Is there a bet you are looking at in this game?
Not really. I guess I would have to bet Penn State if I had to, or maybe the
Mm,
under. So maybe a Boise State team total under. I just would
sure.
expect Penn State in this game to sell out, stop the run. Boise State
Yeah.
obviously has the Heisman Trophy runner up in Ashton Genty, an incredible year running through Oregon early in the season in non-conference, but also within Mountain West play, and really kind of led Boise State to where they are, the 3 seed in the college football playoff. But I'd expect Penn State to load the box, force Maddox Madsen, the quarterback of Boise State, to make plays. And I think a lot of people will think of Boise State and they'll think about Genty and how good of a season that they had. Their only loss being a 3-point defeat at Oregon, who was the only team that finished undefeated this season. But if you
Yeah.
look at Boise State outside that conference championship win against UNLV, they really struggled late in the season in November. Played a close game against Nevada, who's not a good team. They beat San Jose State by 21, but they were losing in the second half of that game and had a late pick six to make the scoreboard look better, make that win look more convincing. And then the week after, they really struggled on the road at Wyoming, who was a terrible team this year. So I guess my hope for this game is Penn State looks really good, covers the spread, and then we have an opportunity to bet against them in the semifinals against Notre Dame or Georgia. So I still think Penn State advances, but I do think they're still like kind of a vulnerable team and maybe not as good as their ranking and their record and their perception, where they're still it's a good team, but there's still some flaws in it, and they're just kind of benefiting from where their path in the playoff and where they are in this weird unbalanced bracket where a team like Oregon, who beat Penn State in the Big Ten
Hmm.
championship, has to play Ohio State in the quarterfinal.